Hey guys, welcome back. It has now been 4 months since I arrived here in Italy. And even though I might look like a local and I have an Italian family name, there are some parts of life here that definitely make me feel like a foreigner. For those of you new to my channel and wonder what I'm doing here, I'm living in Turin so that I can reacquire my Italian citizenship through my family's origins here. And I like to make videos about expat topics as well as my travels around Europe. Anyway, for me, living in an Italian city has definitely been an education in Italian customs and traditions. There are still many parts of life here I don't fully understand, so I wanted to make a video covering 10 things about Italy that I didn't understand until I actually lived here. And the first one that caught me off guard, the moment I set foot in my hotel room, the outlets are different here. Like, oh my god, I didn't know that Italy used different outlets than everywhere else in Europe. Like, oh my god, what a noob, what a mistake. Anyway, I really thought all European countries use the exact same socket, but it turns out that Italy uses a slightly different version for 3-prong outlets, so anything with like a ground, and you have to buy an adapter. Now, the funny thing is, all my appliances here in this apartment are made by Italian companies, and they all have this standard Euro plug. So all of them require an adapter to plug them into Italian sockets, which is a little bit bizarre. But anyway, not a huge deal, just something that caught me off guard, and all the stuff that I bought to work in Germany needs adapters. Okay, number 2, the climate. Living here, I knew it was going to be warmer than where I came from in upstate New York, and probably also going to be warmer than Germany. However, one thing that did catch me off guard was the first time that I tried to go out for a run. So this was still like during the winter, which, you know, is pretty mild here in my opinion. But I was out for a run, I couldn't catch my breath. I was feeling lightheaded, I was really slow, my heart was racing. I really didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe, you know, I was still fighting jet lag or something. Until I happened to talk to another friend later in the day that mentioned that they were also feeling pretty lightheaded, and it was due to the poor air quality. So I checked the local weather app, and of course, yeah, the air quality that day was not so great. Now, this is nothing I had ever considered living in upstate New York, or even when I was living in Germany. Air quality was just never much of an issue. Now here, because of where we are, where you've got the Alps to the north and we're kind of in a valley, a lot of the local pollution ends up just staying here. So during certain months during the winter, the air quality can be kind of variable. However, lately it's really hasn't been a problem, so not much of a big deal, but definitely something I was not expecting. All right, number 3, the food here is great, but hard to get. And let me explain. So one of the first nights I was here, one of the hotels I stayed in happened to have a restaurant on the first floor, which I thought, that is very convenient. However, I didn't notice that that restaurant didn't even open for dinner until 8 p.m. So this is a lot later than I'm used to eating in the States and even in Germany. Most restaurants here don't open till like 7:30 for dinner. And lunch isn't much better. They're open from 12:30 to about 2:30, maybe 3. But after that, you're pretty much, you know, SOL for food options unless you want to go to a cafe or a kebab shop. There are a few fast food options here in Torino as well, but not nearly as many as in Germany. So if you want to get a bite to eat, just make sure you're aware of when stuff is actually open. Okay, number 4, when you're actually at the restaurant, paying is also different. I thought you just paid the server like you did everywhere else in the US and in Germany. However, that's not the case here. Pretty much every restaurant I've ever been to here actually has a cashier. Whether someone is actually there or not depends on the restaurant. But after your meal, you get up from your table, walk to the cashier. They will have your bill for you. They'll read it back to you, and then you can pay them there. This is something I'm still struggling to get used to, even though after 4 months, like I know that's a tradition, but it feels so wrong to just get up from your table without paying and almost like leave and walk to the front to the cashiers. Anyway, something that's kind of weird, and other people that visit me from other parts of Europe have also kind of been confused by this system. Okay, number 5, getting cappuccino after 10 a.m. is a struggle. And what do I mean by that? Well, I was talking with a local Italian friend of mine, and he was explaining to me that here they believe that having milk after like 10, 11 a.m. is just too heavy on the stomach and it's not good for you. So many cafes and restaurants don't serve cappuccinos or lattes, things like that after the morning period. Now, as a foreigner, I'm used to just getting whatever I want, whenever I want. Well, maybe I should say as an American. I'm used to getting whatever I want, whenever I want, so that was pretty confusing. So I've just adapted to getting espressos in the afternoon or get a macchiato, which is kind of like half cream, half espresso. Okay, number 6 that really caught me off guard. Things are really inexpensive here compared to the US and compared to Germany. So the first week I was here, I had to get a new SIM card because paying the outrageous fees on Verizon was just not going to cut it. And I was shocked to find out they were 10 euros a month for 120 gigs of data 5G service. 10 euros a month prepaid. That's just ridiculous. Like, that's 7 times cheaper than what I was paying in the States. And it's not just SIM cards that are cheap. The food here is very inexpensive, especially a lot of the wines and liquors and beers. They're very inexpensive. And housing is pretty affordable too compared to the States and to Germany. So I can see why a lot of people want to make Italy home. I think I'm actually gonna make a whole video comparing some of the cost of goods here versus life back in the US, because honestly, I think most people just won't believe me. Okay, number 7, this definitely caught me off guard. There's graffiti everywhere here in Italy. Now, graffiti is not unique to Italy. You know, we have that in the States. I saw it in Germany, and usually it's in more rundown areas on the side of trains or on billboards or things like that. But here, you know, that was just kind of surprising because you get this juxtaposition of these beautiful historic buildings and amazing architecture, and then just some ugly graffiti on it. So not really expecting that, but luckily Torino and Italy in general is pretty safe, and I'm actually probably gonna do a whole video on this. So it's not like I feel unsafe walking around like I would in the US if I saw a ton of graffiti, but yeah, just something that's taken a little bit to get used to. Okay, number 8. Life in Italy is a lot slower than it is in the US. And this is something that is definitely gonna take a while to get used to. Now, there's 2 sides to this. There's the cultural side, and then there's the business side. So let's start with the cultural side first. One of the wonderful traditions I've learned here in Italy is aperitivo. And this is sort of when you are gonna hang out with friends or family before dinner, have a little drink, have kind of an appetizer. So, maybe some meats, cheeses, maybe a little bit of bread or some olives, something like that. And it's just like this extended social hour where you can just relax, hang out, discuss what's going on, and enjoy life. And it's pretty popular here. You go to a cafe here around 4 or 5 p.m., everyone's going to be out for aperitivo, or maybe apericina if they want to have a little bit more to eat. But more about that in another video. Anyway, it's a really great tradition. I actually like it a lot, and anytime anyone visits, they always have a lot of fun at aperitivo. Now, what's not so good about this slower Italian culture is when it comes to dealing with any of the government agencies, or really, any of the businesses as well. For example, I have been here now 4 months, and I finally got my residency check, which, if you're not aware, is when a police officer actually comes to your apartment to make sure that you live there. Now, getting residency is required for me in order to get my Italian citizenship and also to be allowed to legally stay here and all these things. And it's taken 4 months and 3 different departments. I've had to go to the post office, the residency office, the citizenship office, and then deal with the local municipal police. And then the next step in this process is dealing with the federal immigration police. So that'll be 5 different agencies I have to deal with. So as someone who's not from here, dealing with government bureaucracy is no joke. I mean, going to the post office here is a multi-hour affair, possibly your entire day. And no, the post office here don't just mail packages and letters. You can also open up bank accounts and get SIM cards and pay bills and file immigration paperwork as well. So that's probably a topic for a whole nother video, but getting used to that slow pace of life, waiting in a lot of lines and just dealing with it is definitely something that's going to take a little bit more time to get used to. Okay, and number 9, Italians are very proud of Italy. Now, this probably isn't a shock to many people out there, but it's definitely a shock to me because the last European country I really spent any time in was Germany, where for some reason they're not so big on national pride. Now, the good part about this is a lot of people will be happy to show you the best places to eat, to visit, to view castles, to go on hikes, whatever. They want to show off their country and specifically their region. Okay, number 10, and the last thing I want to go over. To live in Italy, you really need to learn Italian. Now, I have been trying to learn German for about 2 years because I like Germany. I want to spend more time there. But honestly, you can get away with English pretty much everywhere I was in Germany. And I honestly thought it'd be very similar here in Italy. I'm in a large city, 800,000 people. We border France and Switzerland and Austria, so, we've got an international community all around. I figure, yeah, okay, learning Italian is something you want to do long term, but short term, English would be fine. Well, that's really not the case here. Even the young people I meet don't really seem to be interested in learning the language. And maybe this goes back to my last point where if Italy's so great, why would you ever want to leave? Why would you ever need to speak another language? Now, I realize as a foreigner, I need to adapt to my new surroundings. However, I really thought that European cities in general, everyone sort of spoke English as the default for, when you're traveling. I've had friends visit me here from Germany, and when they're here, they spoke English because they don't speak Italian. And same with people from other regions of the area. So I really thought that, maybe, okay, yeah, if you want to live here long term, you want to learn the local language, all that kind of great stuff, but short term, you can just speak English, people will understand it. Well, that's really not the case. Even couriers, anyone that works in the immigration office, anyone that works in the post office, none of them speak any English. So that has definitely been a shock to me and kind of really makes me rethink how I can live here long term, because learning language is not something you can do overnight. It's going to honestly take years, at least for me. I am not the best language learner out there. So anyway, those are 10 things I did not know about Italy until I actually lived here. I want to know from you guys, what did I miss? What kind of shocks did you have moving here? Or if you're a local, tell me some things that I should probably know. Anyway, if you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you watching the video. Thanks, and I will see you guys in the next one.